Home prices in Durham Region dropped almost $40,000 during the month of July as the market has begun to cool off following 2 interest rate increases from the Bank of Canada. But has it cooled it off enough to create better opportunities for buyers? And what does this mean for people trying to sell their home this summer or in the near future? I'll do my best to answer those questions for you as we break down the data for the different areas in the region, and at the end I'll give you my outlook and opinions on what the rest of the summer and year will look like for home prices in our market. So if you're planning on buying a home or selling a home soon, or if you just like to follow where our market is, be sure to stick around until the end. My name is Jessie McClellan and I'm a realtor here in Oshawa, Ontario with the Lisa Abbott team. If you'd like to stay up to date on the real estate market and what's happening, especially in Durham Region and the GTA, then subscribe to our channel. And if you enjoy this video, I would appreciate if you'd give it a thumbs up because it does help me reach more people like you. Depending on which stats you look at, whether it's month over month or year over year, they can each tell a different story. I'm going to cover both to hopefully give you the best idea of where the market is at and where it's trending. So if you came here looking for me to tell you the market's going to crash and burn or why prices are going to the moon, this probably isn't the video for you. I'll share my thoughts at the end, and I encourage you to share your thoughts as well in a comment below. We'll start off with month-over-month changes. In Durham Region, the average home price is down almost $40,000 or 3.79% from June to July. This number includes every home type and every area in Durham Region, but across the board for nearly every area and property type, prices are down, and they're sitting right around where they were a couple of months ago in April. Pickering saw the largest change with nearly a $100,000 drop in the average price of all home types and a $140,000 drop in price for the average detached home. We're really noticing quite a large spread in sale prices of similar homes in the same area when we're trying to gauge a reasonable price for our buyers and sellers we're working with. I've noticed quite a few examples of very similar homes in the same area that have a $100,000 or $150,000 difference in sale price from sales that were only a couple of weeks apart. So that's going to be something you need to watch out for as a buyer or seller. Don't base your price expectations on some of these outlier sale prices if there's nothing else to support that value. As for the number of listings and sales, both numbers decreased in July. However, the number of transactions was down further than new listings, so there's more inventory available versus the sales that are happening. There were 1,677 new listings and 770 sales in July. That's a 9.8% decrease in listings and a 14.2% decrease in the number of sales when compared to June. Given the rate increases and coming out of what was a very hot spring market, that's not shocking. If we take a look at months of inventory, sale price to list price ratio, sales to new listing ratio, and the average days on market, those numbers help give us an idea of how hot or cold the current market is. On the left are July's numbers and on the right are June's numbers. So overall for Durham Region, our months of inventory has increased to 1.8 months of inventory. If you're not familiar with what that means, months of inventory basically tells us how long the current inventory would take to sell at the current pace of sales, and it's a number we use to gauge the supply and demand of a given market. Now, depending on what agent you talk to and what area they're from, you'll probably get different opinions on what number is a buyer's market and what is a seller's market. And in my opinion, it really differs from market to market. Because what numbers might be considered a balanced market or a buyer's market in a small town in Saskatchewan is not going to be the same here. There may be agents who say that we're not in a balanced market until 5 months of inventory, and while that might be true in theory, I tend to disagree because that would mean we haven't been close to a balanced market for over a decade, and that's simply not true. My personal rule for our market is 0 to around 2.25 months is a seller's market. Around 3 to 4 months, you're looking at a more balanced market, and over 4 months is definitely one that leans much more in favor of buyers, but also take months of inventory into consideration along with these other numbers to get the most accurate view on the current market conditions. Ajax, Oshawa, and Scugog were sitting at 2.1 months of inventory. Clarington is the lowest and stayed the same at 1.3 months of inventory. Uxbridge and Brock were among the highest at 2.4 and 2.9 respectively, and that leaves us with Whitby at 1.6 and Pickering at 1.9 months of inventory. These numbers suggest we're still hovering around a seller's market for most areas, but we're trending towards a more balanced market. Next, we'll look at the sales to new listing ratio. ratio. This is similar to months of inventory in that it helps us see what percentage of homes are selling versus homes being listed. Roughly 40 to 60% is a balanced market, with higher leaning towards a seller's market and lower than 40% starting to lean in favor of buyers. To give you some context, in February of 2022, at the peak of the market and everything going a little crazy, we were at nearly a 70% ratio. And even this year during April, when we saw the spring market take off, there were some areas in Durham Region that exceeded 80%. During July, Durham Region sat at 45.8% overall, which is down slightly from June. The average days on market for Durham Region increased from 11 days to 14 days. Something I should mention is that Brock and Uxbridge tend to have low numbers of sales, so with a small sample size, the data can be easily skewed if there's a very high sale or if a home takes particularly long to sell. So if you see lots of fluctuation in those areas, that's why. In Ajax, Clarington, and Oshawa, there were still some pretty big changes to the days on market. All of those areas saw homes taking a few days longer on average to sell. And even though Clarington saw a low inventory and more competition amongst buyers, that didn't stop it from seeing the days on market increasing and the sale price to list price ratio coming down as well. Now, a lot of that can be attributed to the 2 rate hikes, some to the time of year and people going away, but even with low inventory available in Clarington, buyers simply can't offer or don't want to offer the same money they would have a couple of months prior. I wouldn't be surprised to see Clarington's months of inventory come more in line with the rest of Durham Region's inventory when August's numbers are released. The sale price to list price for the region dropped 3% to 104%, and that's applicable to basically every city in Durham Region. Part of that is because we're seeing some sellers and agents choosing to list homes closer to where they want it to sell, and not as many listing low, but also because many of them are still listing low and reviewing offers on a specific date only to either not receive any offers or receive offers that they're not happy with, so they cancel and relist at a higher price, and they eventually sell around that list price, which is why we're seeing that ratio drop. Overall, these numbers reflect a cooling market, and like I just mentioned, even a market like Clarington that had significantly lower inventory during July still saw prices decrease, and all other metrics suggest it's cooling off. The biggest takeaway for me when looking at this data is how much Oshawa cooled off during July. We didn't see massive changes in price, although there were small decreases to most home types, but the inventory levels are up. Sales are down, and a big increase to the time it's taking for properties to sell, as well as how much over asking they're selling for. And this is something I've noticed myself over the last month. I've seen a lot more properties in Oshawa not getting the price they wanted and canceling and relisted, making price changes and sitting on the market for much longer. But like I also mentioned earlier, there's quite the spread in prices, and there are some homes that are still getting multiple offers and selling at a really high price. Lisa and I just sold a home in Oshawa a couple of weeks ago that sold in 6 days, and it's the highest sale in that neighborhood for that home type so far this year. So you can still get a good offer, but along with marketing and staging, it also depends on what other homes are available at the time and how you compare to them. In a second, I'll give you my thoughts on the rest of the year, as well as what you should be doing if you're buying or selling a property soon. But first, I want to very quickly show you what the year-over-year stats are. So year over year, the average sale price is actually up about $60,000 in Durham Region, and a quick look at the other numbers shows us that July last year was a much cooler market. Homes were taking longer, they were selling less above asking, and remember, we had just seen a 0.5% increase in June and a full 1% increase at the beginning of July to the interest rate. So July last year was really when we saw things change. I know you might see some realtors cherry pick numbers and try to show strength in the market, but we're in Durham Region and the Greater Toronto Area where almost 20% of Canada's population lives, and there's hundreds of thousands of people moving here each year. So we're in a strong market. This market will always have demand, but it doesn't mean we're immune to changes to the market conditions and fluctuations, and it's important for consumers to understand that as well. If you're planning on selling or buying a home this year, here's what you need to know and take into consideration. First, if you own a home and you're looking to sell and purchase another home, for most people in most situations, this market has very quickly shifted from a buy first market to a sell first market. Please speak to your realtor, or if you'd like to, you can always give me a call and get a professional opinion on your specific situation, because if you're looking for a unicorn type property that only comes up for sale a couple times a year, then it might make sense for you to wait, because we definitely don't want you to sell your home and then be left panicking trying to find a suitable property. But for most people, as long as prices are trending downwards, you're going to want to sell your home first, find out what you're working with budget-wise, and then buy your next home. For buyers that don't already own a property, the next rate announcement is September 6th. So as we get closer to that date, keep an eye on what's expected to happen with interest rates. I'll be posting videos to keep you updated as we go. Although inventory levels were down in July, sales were down more, so you do have less competition overall. There will be some homes that still receive multiple offers but make reasonable offers. There's no reason to overpay for a home right now given the market conditions. If someone else wants to go crazy, let them, but there are good options and good deals to be had. If you want to find a deal, look at the homes that have crummy pictures and have been on the market for 30+ days. Chances are they aren't getting much attention, and if it's just the photos that look bad but the property's in good shape, you might be able to get a great home for a really great price. If you're selling a home right now, we always talk about looking at recent sales of comparable properties, but what you also need to look at is currently available properties. What area and price range are you in, and what properties will buyers be cross-shopping with yours? Because although recent sales are important, if the most recent sales you can find are from June, May, and even July, the market has likely adjusted since then, and you need to look at it like you're a buyer and look at what's currently available. Those other homes for sale in your area and at your price point, those are your competition, and how you compare to your competition is going to determine the outcome of your sale. So when you're about to put your home up on the market, talk with your agent about your specific area and property type. How long are homes like yours taking to sell? How many listings are you competing with? What are those homes listed at? How do you compare? And how can you position your home to be better and more appealing to buyers? That's really going to help you not only sell your home quicker so you don't have to deal with showings and crummy offers for weeks, but it's also going to help you get the best sale price for your home at the end of the day. If you'd like some help buying or selling a home in Durham Region, I'll include a link in the description where you can book a call with me now at a time that works best for you. And last but not least, I'll leave you with my market outlook for the rest of 2023. Of course, I'm not a psychic, and as much as some people would like to think they can, no one knows where the market or home prices will be at the end of the year. When August numbers come out, I wouldn't be surprised to see the downward trend continue. If we see a rate increase in September or October, I would also expect to see another drop then as well. But if we don't see a rate increase, we could see prices run sideways and fluctuate up and down a little bit until the end of the year, as we'll probably see activity pick up a bit during the fall market. One thing I don't hear anyone talking about though, and I've mentioned a couple of times this year, is if we see OSFI making changes to the mortgage guidelines, for example, the loan to income ratio used by banks to qualify buyers for a mortgage. A big change to something like that could come as a shock and have a sudden effect on home prices, possibly similar to the stress test a few years back. I think we'll likely see a bit more of a balanced market going forward, probably still leaning a bit in favor of sellers, but not like it was in April or May. Let me know your thoughts in a comment below. There are links in the description for you to download a copy of my homebuyer guide or to book a call with me and get your questions answered about our market. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one next week. Bye!